Imagine you're logged in this desperate battle for survival.
Okay.
You in a subterranean sewer system.
Yeah.
And you are cornered by a mutant praying mantis the size of a minivan.
Oh, wow.
And your left arm has literally been vaporized by a 20-point stomp attack.
Just gone.
Just completely gone. And your only viable tactical maneuver is to, like, look your game master dead in the eye and ask, hey, can I spend 10 power points to turn into a T-Rex and bite its head off?
Which is an incredible sentence to say out loud.
Right. But today, we are doing a deep dive into an indie tabletop RPG that doesn't just, allow that kind of unhinged scenario. It actively relies on it.
It demands it, really. Yeah, we are diving into MindScape. Specifically, we're looking at the V49 Polished Restored Edition.
It's V49.
Right, V49. And, what makes this system so compelling isn't just the sheer absurdity of the setting, which is absurd,
Right.
but it's the underlying design philosophy. Like, this is a game that was clearly bootstrapped at the table.
Yeah, you can feel that.
You really can. It's a reaction against those hyper-sanitized, mathematically rigid simulationist systems that kind of dominated its era.
Right. It's not trying to be a physics simulator.
Not at all.
So we're going to bypass the typical bird's eye review today.
Okay.
Because to really understand this, we're actually going to roll up a couple of characters.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
Yeah. Equip them and then drop them into a mini campaign right here. Because we need to see how the engine actually runs.
You have to play it to get it.
Exactly. Because on paper, the world of MindScape sounds completely unmanageable. Like, the setting is a MAD world.
MAD, mutually assured destruction.
Right. So every nuclear weapon on Earth goes off simultaneously.
Just a normal Tuesday.
Right. But rather than turning the planet into, a standard, dusty, radioactive wasteland like Fallout or something, it triggers a dimensional shift.
Which is such a wild pivot. The metaphysical consequence of that apocalypse is really where the game establishes its tone. The old world kind of unravels and passes into a new dimension that is governed largely by human will.
Which is wild.
Right. So the physical reality of the planet alters drastically.
Drastically is an understatement. Like, the Earth is suddenly 10 times larger.
Right.
The moon is semicircular with orbital dust rings. Which I can't even picture.
Just half a moon just hanging there.
Right. It is as if you took the barren hostility of Mad Max, injected the surrealist logic of Alice in Wonderland, and then animated the whole thing with the frantic energy of a 1980s Saturday morning cartoon.
That is the perfect way to describe it.
You've got the upper world, where you can literally walk on clouds.
Yeah.
But they might just dissolve beneath your feet.
Because why wouldn't they?
Exactly. And then you have the underground.
Yeah, and the underground is really where the remnants of the old world resonate. It's this environment of intense paranoia. You've got scavengers fighting over clean water and then also fighting over alien-like technology that seems to possess a life of its own.
Right, it's all mixed together.
It is. It is a setting that forces radical physical and social mutations on everybody living there. But, and this is the crux of it, to actually play in a world with this much conceptual density.
Yeah, because there's so much going on.
Too much. Where you have wandering cloud hermits, laser nuts, mutant insects, all sharing the same zip code, the game requires a very specific mechanical safeguard.
Right. And that is the golden rule, which is printed right at the front of the book.
Front and center.
It acts as the foundational mechanic that sits above literally everything else.
Yeah.
So, rule number 1 explicitly states, if the game master and player agree, they can change anything about the game.
Anything.
Creativity and storytelling always trump the written mechanics.
Period.
Now, I have to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Let's see, go for it.
Is rule number 1 actually a brilliant design choice? Or is it just the developers, like, abdicating responsibility? You know what I mean? If a system is so chaotic that the creators just throw their hands up and say, hey, if it breaks, you fix it, isn't that just lazy game design?
I mean, it's so easy to view it as a cop-out, especially if your baseline expectation is, the hermetically sealed balance of modern D20 systems.
Right, where every rule interacts perfectly.
Exactly. But functionally, in a world this wildly disparate, rule number 1 is an anti-friction device.
An anti-friction device. I like that.
Yeah, because think about it. If the developers tried to create a rigid mathematical framework for how a temporal magic spell interacts with a salvaged laser rifle, walking on a sentient cloud, the math would collapse under its own weight.
It would be a textbook. 1,000 pages.
It would be unplayable.
Sure.
So rule number 1 is really a social contract. It is an explicit permission structure empowering the table to prioritize narrative momentum over rules lawyering.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because it prevents that classic tabletop trap where, the session just grinds to a halt for 20 minutes while the table argues over an obscure grappling penalty on page 142.
Right. Nobody wants to spend their Friday night doing tax math.
Exactly. It's the creator saying, the rule book is a toolbox, not a straitjacket.
Yes. The written mechanics are secondary to the shared story, which creates a really fascinating dynamic. The game gives you incredibly detailed, frankly bizarre mechanical systems for character creation and combat.
Oh, the character creation is wild.
But it gives you absolute permission to override them the second they get in the way of a cinematic moment.
Right. So we have this volatile setting, and we have the ultimate permission slip to bend reality.
Let's see how it plays out.
Let's do it. Let's see how that tension plays out on a character sheet.
Yes.
So we are entering what they call the character creation loop.
Loop being the key word.
Starting with the cold, hard math of physical survival. Step 1, hit points.
And this is where MindScape immediately signals its lethality.
Yep.
You roll 5d6, so 5 six-sided dice. But with exploding dice,
Which is always fun.
if you roll doubles, you get free extra rolls.
Which introduces massive variance right out of the gate.
Huge variance.
You aren't using a standardized point-buy system or taking an average. Purely based on the whims of those 5d6, you could roll an absolute glass cannon with, 15 total HP.
Right.
Or a meat shield who happens to chan roll 6s and starts with 40.
And you just have to live with it.
But the kicker isn't the total number. That's not the crazy part.
No, the kicker is where those numbers go.
Yeah.
Because HP in MindScape isn't an abstract, generalized pool.
Right. It's not just a health bar.
It is a brilliant structural choice, actually. You must strategically divide your total hit points across specific body parts.
Oh, man.
Your head, your torso, your arms, your legs.
It's like building a Mr. Potato Head, but you have a finite amount of plastic, and every choice is a terrifying gamble.
Yeah.
I was looking at my rolls thinking, okay, do I put 10 points into my right arm so I can keep swinging a weapon? Or do I dump everything into my torso and head and just pray nobody aims for the kneecaps?
It's so stressful because by assigning health to specific limbs, the game just completely obliterates the safety of the generic health bar.
Right.
In most RPGs, losing 50% of your HP just means the interface turns yellow.
Yeah, you're fine until you're 0.
Exactly. Your character functions perfectly until they hit 0. But in MindScape, if an enemy targets your left arm and depletes its specific hit points, that arm is gone.
Gone. Vaporized.
You have a visceral, localized problem that instantly alters your action economy.
Because you can't use it anymore.
Right. You can no longer wield a two-handed weapon. You can't climb normally. It forces tactical adaptation on a turn-by-turn basis.
That physical vulnerability is terrifying. And it feeds directly into step 2, the core stats, which are strength, intelligence, and dexterity.
Just 3.
Just 3. It's a streamlined D6 roll for each, but the implications are massive. Dexterity doesn't just calculate a dodge bonus.
No, it is everything.
It dictates your initiative and how many physical attacks you get per turn. If you roll a low dexterity, you're acting last every single round, which is a death sentence in a localized HP system.
Because they're going to shoot your arm off before you even move. And then intelligence, meanwhile, modifies your power points, or PP.
Okay, right.
Which you determine by rolling a d10 and multiplying by 10. Your PP pool fuels your special abilities and your mutations. But the mechanic that truly bridges the gap between the math and the narrative
Oh, I know where you're going.
is endurance.
I am obsessed with how they handle endurance.
It's so good.
You take your total localized hit points, you divide by 4, and that's your endurance score.
Right.
It sets basic physical limits, 1 mile of running per point of endurance. But its primary function is endurance channeling.
Endurance channeling allows a player to temporarily sacrifice their endurance points to boost their statistics, hit points, or power points in critical moments.
It's a mechanical representation of an adrenaline dump.
Yes.
You are literally burning your own health to hit harder or cast one final spell. And when you look at the math, trading permanent resources for a temporary buff is usually a terrible strategic move.
Gamers hate giving up permanent stats.
Right. But narratively. It's that cinematic moment where the battered hero digs deep and pushes past their physiological breaking point.
It seamlessly weds game mechanics to roleplay. You aren't just optimizing a spreadsheet anymore. You are making a conscious decision to roleplay physical exhaustion.
Yeah.
It forces the player to constantly ask, Is this encounter worth burning my life force?
And usually in this game, the answer is yes, because everything wants to kill you.
Everything.
All right, so we have the raw infrastructure of our characters. We have our exploding HP parceled out into our limbs, our stats, our endurance. But right now, they're just flesh and bone.
They need an identity.
But they need an identity. And step 3, which is choosing a race, clan, and skill, is where MindScape proves it is playing a completely different genre of game than standard fantasy RPGs.
Totally. The combinations are nearly endless, provided you avoid specific racial or clan restrictions, and the options range from the mundane to the deeply surreal.
Yeah.
What did you decide to build for our mini-campaign?
Okay, so I leaned all the way into the surreal. I am playing a goblin animal master of the Wolf Clan.
A very potent combination.
Thank you. I thought so.
The Wolf Clan grants immediate survival utility, right? Like tracking and advanced smell.
Exactly. So I have this scrappy feral character sniffing the dirt, picking up scents across the underground. And coupling that with the animal master skill gives me 2 intelligent animal friends immediately.
Which is huge for the action economy.
Massive. And the source book makes it very clear. These aren't just pets. They are full companions, possessing human-level intelligence.
Like they can understand complex commands?
Right. They are capable of flanking and executing complex strategies. And here is the real curveball. It's the goblin race.
Oh, this is my favorite part of the rulebook.
Because if you hear goblin and picture a little green guy with a pointy stick hoarding shiny rocks, you're thinking of the wrong game.
MindScape completely subverts traditional fantasy taxonomy. Their goblins are effectively a bizarre offshoot of fairies. And their life cycle introduces a fascinating structural disruption to a campaign.
It's so weird. Okay, so first level, I get a free spell. Great.
Standard.
At second level, I grow small claws. Great for close quarters fighting.
Still pretty standard.
But at third level, my character is biologically compelled to build a chrysalis.
A literal cocoon.
A literal cocoon. I go into a pupa state for 3 months of in-game time, metamorphosing, and I eventually emerge as a flying fairy.
Think about the logistical nightmare that introduces to a gaming table.
It's terrible.
The game uses a biological imperative as a hard-coded narrative handicap. Taking a player out of commission for 3 months isn't a buff, it's a massive liability.
Yeah.
The game master and the party have to pivot the entire story to accommodate this. Do they bury your cocoon in the desert and come back for you?
Hope nobody digs me up.
Right. Do they strap you to the roof of a scavenged car and defend you from raiders for 3 months?
It's driving around with a giant bug on the roof.
It's so good.
And if I actually survive to 6th level, the biology gets even weirder. My goblin spontaneously hatches 100d6 more goblins.
Just spontaneous.
Just zero warning. I just become a parent to up to 6 new goblin babies. It's absolute chaos. But honestly, as wild as a mutating fairy goblin is, your character build somehow manages to out-absurd mine.
I am very proud of my build. I selected a human magician of the dinosaur clan.
I need us to pause and just absorb that sentence. A magician of the dinosaur clan.
It's beautiful.
I read this in the rulebook and assumed it was a typo. I really did.
The progression of the dinosaur clan is surprisingly linear, albeit extreme.
Sure, linear.
At first level, the human grows wings.
Naturally.
By second level, I can expend 10 power points to transform into a pterodactyl. And at fourth level, the transformation upgrades, allowing me to become a full Tyrannosaurus Rex.
So you are a human who can casually shapeshift into a prehistoric apex predator.
Yes.
That alone is wild. But marrying that clan to the magician skill class is where the game design gets truly hilarious to me.
The magician class in MindScape doesn't just dictate what spells you can cast. It enforces rigid, unyielding roleplay restrictions.
Oh, the restrictions.
To access and maintain my magical abilities, I am required by the rules, mechanically required, to wear a long black trench coat and black boots at all times.
So edgy.
I can never reveal my true name to anyone, ever. And my magician's cane is classified as a living entity that stores my power points, and I must treat it with deference.
Okay, let's look at the reality of this.
Okay.
You are wandering through a post-apocalyptic, scorched earth wasteland. It is probably 100 degrees out.
Easily.
And you are forced to wear a heavy black trench coat and combat boots, carrying a sentient piece of wood, refusing to introduce yourself at the local cantina.
It's called fashion.
It's not just an aesthetic choice, it is a heat stroke liability.
It really is. Furthermore, the Code of the Magician states that if I am challenged to a battle, I must accept.
No backing down.
There is no retreating or diffusing the situation. And once I reach fourth level, I am mechanically required to establish a physical brick-and-mortar shop.
A retail store.
Otherwise, I cease gaining experience points entirely.
So you are a shop-owning illusionist, sweating in a trench coat, who, when challenged to a duel by a raider, throws down his sentient cane and turns into a literal T-Rex.
That is the character, yes.
I have to ask, as an expert in game systems, how is a game master supposed to balance a party where one player is a pupating fairy with genius wolves and the other is a Jurassic Park-themed David Copperfield?
It sounds impossible, right?
Yeah.
But the secret of MindScape is that it fundamentally does not care about perfect combat balance.
Okay.
It cares about engineering spectacular social friction.
Social friction.
Yes. These rigid roleplay restrictions, like the magician's mandatory wardrobe, or the skeleton race needing to take a weekly bloodbath to prevent their bones from turning brittle.
Which is another amazing detail.
Right. They aren't designed to balance a damage per second spreadsheet. They force players to instantly embody a highly specific, idiosyncratic persona. They guarantee that every social interaction in the game will be delightfully awkward and memorable.
It really forces you out of your comfort zone.
No.
You can't just play a stoic, silent badass when the rules mandate you act like a total weirdo.
Exactly.
Okay, before we drop our dynamic duo into the underground, they need supplies. Which brings us to steps 5 and 6 of the creation loop and the bizarre economy of this world.
The economy is fascinating. The currency system itself is refreshingly simple. It is known as thin gold, and it operates on a 1-to-1 exchange rate with the pre-apocalypse dollar.
Yeah.
So $1 equals 1 piece of thin gold. To determine your starting capital, you roll a d10 and multiply it by 100.
So you start with somewhere between 100 and 1,000 thin gold, which sounds fine.
Right.
But when you take that cash to the equipment tables, you realize you're shopping at a fever dream yard sale.
It really is.
The pricing establishes the hierarchy of needs in a fractured reality. Like, you can buy a pair of boots for 20 thin gold. You can buy a tent for 50. You can buy 10 gallons of gasoline for 30 thin gold.
Which is fascinating environmental storytelling, if you think about it.
How so?
Well, gasoline being priced that cheaply implies either massive untapped reserves down in the underground or that combustion engines are no longer the primary technological driver of this society.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Right, because you look at the rest of the list and the juxtaposition is insane. Mundane office supplies sit right next to sci-fi artifacts and religious relics.
Yes.
You can buy a simple wooden cross for 5 thin gold, and the rules helpfully note that it mechanically scares most undead.
Essential gear.
You can buy a 3-ring binder right alongside an energy pack. And if you really want to save up, there is the energy net.
Ah, the energy net.
It costs exactly 500,000 30 thin gold.
I love that.
I love the specificity of that $30 at the end. Like, you show up with $500,000 in cash and the merchant's like, sorry, man, I need that extra 30 for gas.
It's so arbitrary, but it perfectly reinforces the scavenged, piecemeal nature of the world. A functioning energy net is a priceless relic of the old world. It's a miracle of ancient engineering. But a tuning fork or a tent is just detritus.
So we buy our boots, our gas, maybe a wooden cross just in case, and then we hit step 6. Go wild.
The best step.
This is where you finalize your magic and check for mutations. And the spell list, I mean, it's not just your standard fireballs and healing words. It features spells like potty.
Yes, potty. A highly effective third-level spell that, for the cost of 3 power points, forces targeted enemies to involuntarily go to the bathroom in their pants.
Which is just...
The sheer distraction of this event stops their attack for a full round.
It is tactical humiliation.
It really is.
Or you have the Zelios Bullet Barrage, which summons missile-like projectiles. Or a spell that conjures an angry mob of sports fans to assault your enemies.
It completely weaponizes Saturday morning cartoon logic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Why deal 1d8 fire damage when you can just ruin an enemy's pants?
It's much more effective. And then the final wrench in the character creation engine is the mutant roll.
Right, I almost forgot about that.
At the very end of the process, every single player rolls percentage dice. If you roll between a 90 and 100, you are a mutant.
Congratulations.
You then roll on a secondary table to determine your random powers. You might suddenly sprout wings, gain localized gravity control, or develop the ability to shoot lasers.
Which is crazy because it can completely upend whatever carefully synergized build you thought you had created.
It is the ultimate anti-min-maxing mechanic.
Yeah, you could spend an hour building the perfect melee fighter, roll a 95, and suddenly your character is radioactive and hovers 6 inches off the ground.
And you just have to adapt.
Right, so the math is done. Our characters are fully formed. I am a wolf clan goblin, flanked by 2 hyper-intelligent wolves sniffing the subterranean air. You are a human magician, dripping sweat in your black trench coat, clutching your sentient cane, secretly ready to go full T-Rex.
Always ready.
We are armed with a handful of thin gold and a whole lot of audacity.
Let's do it.
It is time for the mini-campaign.
Let us establish the stakes. Our goblin animal master and magician have ventured deep into the mysterious underground.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The air is heavy and stale. The illumination is practically non-existent. We are navigating a crumbling, ruined sewer system that has intersected with a natural cave formation.
Sounds lovely.
Our objective is to locate a rumored source of clean water and perhaps scavenge some ancient technology.
Okay, so it's pitch black, paranoid, and claustrophobic.
Yeah.
But because I'm a wolf clan goblin, I'm utilizing my advanced smell to navigate.
Right.
I'm picking up the scent of rust, damp stone, and then something acrid, something highly biological and dangerous.
Oh?
I signal to you and my wolves to halt, but we are too slow. Dropping from the cavern ceiling directly in front of us is a massive mutant praying mantis.
Okay, according to the bestiary, this is a lethal ambush predator.
Great.
The mutant praying mantis possesses infravision, allowing it to track our body heat in the dark.
So the dark doesn't bother it at all?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It is equipped with a poison sting, a mandible chomp, and its most devastating attack, a massive stomp that deals a flat 20 points of damage.
20 points of damage. Okay, we just established that hit points are localized.
Yeah.
If my goblin's left arm only has 12 hit points allocated to it and that mantis stomps on it for 20 damage, that arm isn't just broken. It is a green smear on the cavern floor.
It is gone. And to make matters worse, scurrying out from the trash behind the mantis are a pack of giant rats.
Of course there are.
We are flanked.
Okay, so the combat mechanics of MindScape are brutally fast-paced.
Very fast. First, we determine initiative based solely on dexterity. Whoever has the highest dexterity score acts first, and the turn order continues down the line.
Let's look at the tactical reality here. Let's say the mantis is lightning fast. It beats our dexterity and lunges right at my goblin with that 20 damage stomp.
Yeah.
This is where the core combat resolution kicks in.
Yeah.
And it is startlingly binary.
It really is.
Mhm.
To execute an attack, the aggressor rolls a single 6-sided die.
Just 1d6.
The success is achieved by rolling a 5 or a 6. It is a flat 33% chance to hit per attack.
Which is wild. No base attack bonuses, no armor class tables to cross-reference. It is incredibly fast.
Very clean.
So the GM rolls a 5. The stomp is coming down right on my torso. If it connects, my goblin is instantly dead, but I get to defend. And the defense mechanic is the exact same math. I just need to roll a 5 or a 6 to successfully dodge a parry.
It strips away all the algorithmic bloat of modern RPGs and distills combat down to high-stakes tension.
Just a rapid-fire tennis match. Serve, volley. The mantis swings, bam, roll a d6. I dive, bam, roll a d6.
Loud roll 6.
Goblin combat rolls beneath the spiked leg at the last possible second. The stomp shatters the stone floor where I was just standing.
Excellent. Okay, so we survived the opening salvo, but the action economy is severely against us.
Yeah, we're outnumbered.
The giant rats are swarming, threatening to overwhelm our flanks. The magician needs to execute crowd control so the goblin and the wolves can focus entirely on the mantis.
Okay, what do you do?
I will leverage my class skills. I grip my living cane, channeling a portion of my power points to cast Flash.
Oh, that's the play.
For a minimal PowerPoint expenditure, the cane erupts with a blinding strobe-like light.
Nice.
The rules dictate that this blinds an opponent for 106 rounds, imposing a -1 penalty to all actions requiring sight. Given that the rats and the mantis rely heavily on their dark adapted vision and infravision in the underground, this sudden, intense burst of light is neurologically agonizing.
They're completely disoriented.
The rats are temporarily stunned, their swarm tactics broken.
Okay, while they are disoriented, I command my intelligent wolves to flank the mantis. Because they possess human-level intellect, they don't just blindly bite at its armored front. They coordinate to tear at the vulnerable joints of its hind legs.
Smart.
And I rush in to use my goblin claws on its abdomen. But the math is still against us. The mantis is thrashing. It blind sweeps with its poison sting.
And if that sting connects, the mechanical penalty is a slow death sentence.
Right.
It inflicts 3 points of damage every single round until we can apply either rose water or holy water to the wound.
And we definitely purchased neither at the market.
No, we bought gasoline and a cross.
Right.
So if we try to whittle this creature down with standard 5 or 6 attacks, statistical probability guarantees the mantis will land a hit before we do. Attrition will kill us.
Yeah, we can't win a war of attrition.
We need a decisive, overwhelming strike that circumvents the standard action economy entirely.
Okay, this is the moment. The written rules are going to get us killed. We need to break the glass. I look at you, sweating in your trench coat, and I shout, "Do the thing." You know exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
I ask you, stepping into the role of the game master for a second, can the magician spend the 10 power points to transform into a pterodactyl, swoop down, grapple my goblin by the shoulders, fly us to the apex of the cavern ceiling, and then execute a fastball special, dropping me directly onto the mantis head so I can drive my claws into its brain?
Okay, if we were playing a strict simulationist RPG, the GM would immediately shut this down.
Oh, instantly.
We would have to halt the game to calculate your exact weight against my carrying capacity as a pterodactyl.
Carry weight rules. Ugh.
We would have to debate whether transforming, moving, and grappling violates the single-turn action limits.
Right.
We would have to calculate falling damage for the goblin upon impact.
We would spend 20 minutes flipping through indexes, only to conclude that the maneuver is technically illegal under subsection 4, paragraph B.
Exactly. It would kill the pacing completely.
Yeah.
But in MindScape, the GM looks at rule number 1. Does this maneuver serve the story? Yes. Is it incredibly creative? Yes. Will it provide a memorable cinematic resolution to a lethal encounter? Absolutely.
So what happened?
So, invoking rule number 1, the GM overrides the action economy. They say, yes, you can attempt it. It will cost your power points. And the pterodactyl must pass a single dexterity check to catch the goblin mid-flight. If you succeed, the goblin will deal massive double damage for a cult strike.
Yes. Okay, you burn the power points. The black trench coat shreds as massive leather wings violently burst from your back.
Such a cool visual.
You screech a full prehistoric cry, echoing through the ruined sewer, swoop down, snatch my goblin, and launch us upward. I ready my claws, you release me at the apex, and I come down like a green meteor right onto the blinded mantis.
Damn.
The claws sink in, the mantis collapses, the surviving rats scatter into the shadows. Rule number 1 didn't just make the game fun, it literally saved our lives.
The contrast is what makes the system sing. The combat is mathematically brutal, right? And the localized HP makes every near miss feel fiercely tangible. But that underlying rigidity only exists so that when you do invoke rule number 1 to bend reality, the heroic feat feels earned.
Because you were staring death in the face.
Right. It's a brilliant synthesis of high-stakes lethality and boundless narrative flexibility.
Okay, so having survived the mini-campaign, mostly intact, though you are going to have to explain that shredded trench coat to the Magicians Union.
I'll just buy another one for 20 thin gold.
Fair enough. But it's time to pull back.
Yeah.
We've built the freaks, we've fought the bugs, we've broken the rules. What does this wildly unhinged game actually teach us about systems, game design, and play?
I believe MindScape serves as a really powerful reminder of the joy of raw, unpolished creation. In the modern era, we are so accustomed to media, games, and even digital platforms being relentlessly focus grouped.
Everything is so safe now.
Everything is perfectly balanced, mathematically smoothed out, and sanded down until all the rough edges are gone. MindScape proves that a system doesn't need to be perfectly balanced to be brilliant. It just needs heart, a wild imagination, and the structural humility to let players tell their own stories.
It fundamentally trusts the players. It hands you a sandbox filled with the most chaotic toys imaginable, mutant powers, fairy goblins, living canes, exploding dice, and says, if this breaks, just tape it back together with rule number 1 and keep playing.
Exactly.
It prioritizes the laughter, the tension, and the human connection at the table over the sanctity of a printed rulebook.
And that philosophy of ultimate flexibility, it extends to one final mechanic in the game that we haven't touched on yet. It's a mechanic I find genuinely profound, actually. It is called the zero-level rule.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up. Because when I read this section, it completely reframed how I view character progression. Let's unpack the zero-level rule.
So in almost every role-playing game, the choices you make at character creation lock you into a rigid progression track.
All right, like a skill tree.
Yeah. If you choose to be a fighter at level 1, you are a fighter at level 10.
You just get better at hitting things.
Right. The zero-level rule completely shatters that constraint. It states that a character can change their skill or class at any time during the game.
There is zero lock-in. You can just pivot.
The only mechanical requirements are that you must locate a teacher in the game world or successfully invent the new skill yourself, and you must invest 100 of your hard-earned experience points to acquire that first 0 level in the new discipline.
So you can literally reinvent yourself in the middle of the apocalypse.
Completely.
You could be a Wolf Clan Goblin Animal Master for 5 levels, get tired of the woods, find a mentor in the underground, pay your 100 XP, and start learning how to be an illusionist.
And it raises a wonderful provocative question when we extrapolate this design philosophy to the bigger picture of our own lives.
Oh, I like where this is going.
What if we treated our own reality like the 0 level rule?
Yeah.
So often we feel entirely locked into our starting class, the degree we chose at 18, the career path we fell into, the identity we calcified in our 20s. We act as if the rulebook of society dictates that we cannot change our stats once they are rolled.
We totally do. We think we are trapped by the action economy of our own lives. We assume that because we've spent 10 years as an accountant, we can't suddenly become a woodworker.
Right.
But the reality is the 0 level rule applies. It requires finding a teacher. It requires serious effort, our own real-world equivalent of grinding out 100 experience points.
Which isn't easy.
It's not. And most importantly, it requires giving ourselves that rule number 1 permission to override our own script. We can build the chrysalis, take the 3 months, and come out with wings.
Precisely. You are never restricted from learning a new skill or fundamentally changing your approach to the game of life. The mechanics allow for reinvention. You simply have to be willing to do the work and embrace the awkwardness of being at 0 level again.
I absolutely love that. It's the post-apocalyptic equivalent of going back to grad school, but with higher stakes and better outfits.
Much better outfits.
So the next time you feel like your life is moving on a rigid, predictable game board, remember that you don't have to just move your knight in an L shape or pass. Go to collect your $200.
No.
You can invoke rule number 1, put on your black boots, and turn into a T-Rex.
A highly effective strategy for navigating any complex environment.
Exactly. The math is brutal, the world is weird, and the story is entirely yours to write. Keep rolling those exploding dice, everyone.